Well, friends, we've met again, and this time we're making pomegranate compote together. We have a lot of pomegranates, so if you do too, welcome to my kitchen. We have several different varieties of pomegranates. I'm using all of them together. It really doesn't matter what variety they are. First of all, of course, you need to wash them and then peel them. I'll be working with gloves on because pomegranates stain your fingers quite a bit. Let me show you how to peel a pomegranate. Maybe some of you don't know how. There's a very convenient way to do it. First, run a knife around the top like this, just to cut through the skin. In other words, make a very shallow cut. And then you can easily remove the cap like this. Now, just carefully make the same kind of shallow, gentle cuts so you don't damage the seeds. Only the skin again. There are visible veins in the pomegranate here, so try to make the cuts along them whenever possible. It's not absolutely necessary, but it will make peeling much easier later. To avoid worrying about these white bits during the process, you can simply pour water over everything at the end. They're very light, so they'll float to the surface and you can easily remove them. If a few small pieces like that remain, it's no big deal. It won't affect the taste. Now I'm going to portion them into jars. By the way, I usually wash them. And then I put them in a cold oven like this. On the rack, set the oven to 120 degrees and leave them there until they're completely dry, plus a few extra minutes on top. This way they turn out, let's say, as clean as possible. They're not sterilized because, since sterilization requires different conditions like high pressure and all that, here we just get the jars as clean as possible. And where you need them dry, this is just perfect, because you don't even need to wipe them afterwards. I honestly don't know, I've never weighed it before. Now I'll weigh it for you and tell you how much goes into one jar. For one jar, I ended up with about 600 grams. You can put in a little more or a little less. It's up to you. That's how much I got. We just love it when the compote, especially this one, turns out rich in flavor and aroma. As for the lids, I boiled them, but that's just standard. I think everyone does it this way. The water on my stove has come to a boil and I'm not turning it off. I've left it on low heat so it keeps boiling. Now with this boiling water, I'm going to pour it into our jars. I pour in a little at first so the jars can get used to the temperature and don't crack. The water should reach right up to the very top. Now everything needs to sit like this in the boiling water for about 20 to 25 minutes. Don't leave them for too long. The jars shouldn't cool down too much. It's already been 25 minutes, maybe even a few minutes more. Now we pour this water out into a pot. The jars are quite hot, so you can't really hold them like this. I try to do it like this. I hold it by the neck because the glass is quite thick there. And also by the bottom, since the glass is thick there too. Or you can use a towel and pour it out like this. Pour out every single last drop, ensuring nothing is left. We've poured all the water out of all the jars. Now we put the same water back on the stove and bring it to a boil again. Of course, first we add a little more water because some of it evaporates during boiling, just to make sure there's enough. While the water is coming to a boil, you can already add the sugar. Add it directly into the jars. I use a cup like this with a volume of 330 milliliters. We'll need sugar just a little below the top edge of the cup, about a finger's width below. So we end up with about this much sugar. I'll tell you the amount in grams as well. It comes out to exactly 250 grams of sugar. This amount of sugar perfectly balances all the flavors, so our compote turns out moderately sweet, not overly sugary, that's for sure. And there won't be a lack of sugar either, so it will store well. The water has come to a boil. I'm not turning off the heat yet. I leave it on low so the water keeps boiling. And with this rolling boil, I pour it into our jars. I pour it in and quickly seal them up. Then I roll them a bit like this so the sugar dissolves better. And then I turn them upside down like this onto the lid and leave them to cool in this position. This way the high temperature affects the rubber on the lid. It deforms a little, then contracts as it cools and seals our jars much better. It's more reliable. If you notice, there's already some liquid in our jars. That's from the sugar, friends. It just melted a little. Friends, the method I showed you, all these manipulations with boiling water, is a more reliable option and is especially intended for fruits with large pits, like apricots, peaches, and plums, especially the big ones. They require a delicate approach, so we seal them in exactly the same way. As for all other fruits and berries, you can preserve them using a simpler method. We seal them up and that's it. By the way, if you have a special cool place to store them at any time of the year, you can preserve absolutely any fruit using the simplest method. Again, pour in the boiling syrup, seal them, and forget about them. And why did I also choose to preserve pomegranate this way? Because this product also requires a bit more careful handling to ensure it keeps well. P.S. Friends, very soon I will also make a combined version of the compote, so stay tuned.